before the quiet of Zycross IV, there was only Zycross, a living world within the Brunanian star system, home to a peaceful race of Lyrian beings, keepers of harmony, stewards of knowledge, lovers of balance between worlds. But that age did not endure. War came, not from within, but from forces that could not perceive the value of what Zycross held. The conflicts stretched across time until the world itself could no longer sustain life. Zycross fell, and its people scattered. Some fled to distant planets. Some attempted to rebuild what was lost. Some worlds proved uninhabitable, and others became corrupted, unstable, or barren. But through all of it, one thing was preserved: the knowledge, carried, protected, and gathered again in a new world, Zycross IV. And there, in the city of Antenex, a great archive was established, not just of one people, but of many. A convergence of teachings, histories, and ways of understanding existence. The wars had long since passed. Peace had returned, but something quieter remained. The question of how to truly live with what had been learned. Grenki did not come from Zycross IV. He was a traveler, carried across vast distances on the back of a great sky being named Constance, a silent companion, steady and unwavering. Constance guided not through words, but through presence. Grenki arrived with a quiet hunger. It wasn't for survival, but for understanding. And he entered Antenex and took his place among the keepers of the ancient archives. And for many years, he studied, he organized, he absorbed, and he walked among scholars, artisans, and seekers. Some were sincere, and some lost in performance. Some gathered in the endless weaving of commentaries upon commentaries. Time passed, and though his knowledge grew, a disquiet remained within him, like a subtle ache, a sensitivity to imbalance, a reaction to injustice, a stirring within his body whenever he was faced with unkindness or dysregulated disorder. One day, while in the marketplace, an encounter unsettled him. It was a passing exchange, sharp, dismissive, and unnecessary, and it should have ended there. But unfortunately, it did not. The moment stayed with Grenki. It echoed. It ached. He felt judged. He felt diminished. And he replayed it again and again in his mind. And no amount of knowledge could quiet what had been stirred. It was during this time that his connection with Anadi deepened. She, too, was a keeper of the archives. But where Grenki sought, Anadi rested. Where he reached, she remained. Her presence was gentle, yet unmistakably grounded. One evening, as the light softened across the city, Grenki spoke of what had troubled him. He expected agreement, perhaps even validation. But Anadi listened quietly, and when she spoke, her words were simple.
Not everything that touches you is meant to enter you.
Grenki was still, and she continued.
Some beings act from imbalance, from their own unrest, their own unexamined patterns. If you receive it, you carry it. If you remain as you are, it passes.
There was no correction in her tone, no judgment, only clarity. And in that moment, Grenki saw something he had never seen before. All that he had gathered had not freed him from being moved, or from being pulled, or from reacting. From that day forward, his attention changed. He still worked, still read, still moved among the halls of knowledge. But he had begun to watch. He witnessed what arose within him, not with resistance, not with indulgence. And slowly, the disquiet began to soften. His connection with Anadi deepened, and it wasn't through intensity, but through steadiness, through shared presence, through a growing simplicity that required nothing extra. Over time, they both understood. The archives had served their purpose, but knowledge, endlessly gathered, was no longer the way forward. And so one day, without declaration, they left. Not in rejection, but in completion. They walked beyond the city, beyond the structures of learning, and into the open land. The day came when Constance returned, as he always had. No signal, no call, only presence. And the two of them climbed upon his back and he carried them beyond Antenex, beyond the known paths, and into a quiet valley where the land itself seemed to breathe. And it was there that Grenki and Anadi made a simple life together, a small stone dwelling, hands in the soil, bread shaped and shared, water carried, silence welcomed, no teachings spoken, no systems built, only what was lived in present moment awareness. And in that life, they found what the archives could never give, a stability that did not depend upon understanding, a connection that did not require effort, a presence that could not be shaken by the movements of others. And in the evenings, they would sit together in the grass as the light faded across the mountains. Nothing to resolve, nothing to become. Only this. And high above, from time to time, a great bird would pass across the sky, steady as ever, watching.
Lost in beauty, out of time.